Periches Halacha Beis. Olam Haba. The world to come ein by guf ugvia. It has no physical substance, nor does it have a physical body. Only the souls of tzaddikim. Without beloy guf k'malachi hashois. Without a guf, just like we find by the malachi hashois. Go down to the Peirush. Ma'u olam haba. We're going to learn in this halacha what is olam haba. If there is a guf and echila and shiur. Also, the Kesef Mishnah's answer on when is also lovoi, when is lo'olam haba, when is Hilchos Tshuva. Other answers in what the Rambam's opinion is regarding the future, and the Rambam similarity to one as far as how one exists in the world to come. Base. It doesn't have physical aspects or a physical being. Only the souls of tzaddikim beloy guf, without a physical being. Since it doesn't have a physical being, it doesn't have eating and drinking. Nor any of the many things that the bodies of a person need for their upkeep in this world. And there does not occur those occurrences which take place which happen to the physical being in this world, such as yeshiva, sitting, amido, standing, sheino, sleeping, miso, dying, etzev, depression, schoik, laughter, and the like. These kach amru chachamim rishonim. So said the original chachamim. Olam haba ein bo lo yachila v'lo yishia v'lo tashmish. So the world to come that has neither food nor drink nor relations. Tzaddikim yoshvim, but rather the tzaddikim sit. Again, the concept of sitting means they are arranged. And they have their crowns on their heads. And they bask in the light of the Shechina, of the divine presence. The Kesef Mishnah cites this as a statement of Rav and Brochus. So you see that it does not have any physical aspects, because there is no eating and drinking, because the physical being could not exist without food. When it says that they sit, why does it say tzadikim yoshvim? And the answer is al derech hachido. In other words, it's a way of mentioning something. They are found, they are present, just like when you're present in the sukkah. And so he writes in Hilchos Tshuva that facing the Creator, that since he's not a physical being, then nothing happens to him. And then as far as happiness or depression or anger, all of the things are also similes. Of course, a person is in euphoria, most probably, in the world to come, because he finds himself basking in the divine presence. But it's not simcha in the concept that we have it in this physical world. When it says their crowns are on their head, so it seems they have a head and it has a crown. And this means that the spiritual position that they find themselves, because for that reason, that is found with them. That which they have achieved is found with them, and that is their crown. Shlomo HaMelech said in shiur 3:11, he speaks about the fact that his mother gave him a crown, and of course this refers to oil moyed, which is the crown of Torah, as Rashi explains there. It says Yeshayahu, Simchas Olam al Rosham. It is internal happiness on their heads, and Eina Simcha Guf Kadeshi Tinuach al Rosh. Simcha, even we understand and comprehend that that is not a physical item which sits on someone's head, but it means the aspect of being in that state of existence. So to this crown, that the Chacham explained here, Hu Adas. This is the knowledge, which is spiritual. What does it mean that they benefit from the aura of the divine presence? It means that they are able to divine, to comprehend from the truth of seeing HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that which they didn't know before, while they were in this world, in the physical, lowly existence of man. Hello. Batsheva! Did you find out about Khrushchevsky at all? Is there anyone you could call? It's too late already. I left messages in America. I should have called his son. Oy vey. I know I should call. Oy vey. Okay, bye-bye. Hello. Batsheva! I don't know. Pick up the phone. I have to call somebody about something. Oh, 3. Too late already. 6, 1, 9. Huh?
My grandmother's birthday today.
Okay.
Too late.
4, 3, 6. Was too late? Why?
She left the house. At 30 is what time? She was 10 o'clock. She didn't answer the phone.
So.
Rabbi, you have heard much wrong.
The tzaddikim after their deaths, as it says, Asher tzofantu lereyecho, and it wasn't called Olam Haba only because they are alive, that they are alive in the world to come, and they come to a person after Choyei Olam Hazeh that we find ourselves with now. So he makes a differentiation between what he called Olam Hazeh, Olam Haba in the world above, and Olam Atchiyah, which is when people will be resurrected. Everything that the Ravid said, and he learned that there will be Tchiyas HaMesim with a physical being, they are for the world of time of Tchiyah, after the resurrection. He calls it Olam Atchiyah, Olam Haba. And this way, they both come out correct. That Rambam here is referring to the world to come after a person dies, and the Rav is referring to the world to come after the resurrection of the dead. There are other answers in the Shitas of the Rambam, and so explains it in Melech Mishnah. But it would seem that the Rambam and the Rav disagree. What is Olam Atchiyah? When is the resurrection of the dead? According to the Rambam, there will be life even to the physical being. There will be actual eating and drinking. Chazal say that the Olam Haba has no eating and drinking. That's only an Olam Haba that's after death, prior to resurrection. According to the Ravid, since this statement is referring to the world after resurrection, and there's no eating and drinking, thus it must be that the goof will be a stronger goof, and it'll be a stronger goof without a need for eating and drinking. Lechem Mishnah writes in Halacha Aleph that the Rambam is the opinion that Olam Habo and Tchias HaMesim are two different things. Olam Habo is after death. Tchias HaMesim is when the dead will be resurrected. And the Ramban in Sha'ar Gmul and others have the opinion that Tchias HaMesim is Olam Habo. That's what's called Olam Habo. And they bring proof from Sanhedrin 90a that says Ein Tchias HaMesim in HaTorah Ein Lo Yechelik L'Olam Habo. Ha'omer, somebody who says that there's no Tchias HaMesim in HaTorah has no portion in the world to come. And so we learn that he who denies Tchias HaMesim, resurrection, has no portion in the world to come. Therefore, he will not be part of that. We thus see that Tchias HaMesim is called Olam Habo, because that's the language that's being used. And because he denied it, therefore, Mida Keneged Mida, as a punishment equal to the statement, he is punished and he won't merit it. And he brings further mentions of Balei Krim that there's two types of Olam Habo. One after death, before Tchias HaMesim, and one after Tchias HaMesim. And they both are called Olam Habo. But the Lechem Mishnah questions this. The Rambam himself brings the Gemara of Chulin, and we learn there in a world that's totally good, in a world which is totally has no end to it. And he says this is Olam Habo. If it means that it's after the time of a person passes away and not the time when a resurrection will take place, the words of the Gemara aren't understood, because we learned, Rabbi Yaakov says, you don't have any mitzvah and mitzvah in the Torah, that if you don't find this reward, there ain't Tchias HaMesim Tolibo, which has to do with resurrection. Bekivad Avid says, L'man yarichun yomecho, so that in order that you will have long life. Mishloach HaKen, it says, L'man yitav loch. Thus we see that his father told him, bring me birds from the nests in the trees, and he did his mitzvah of Shiloh HaKen, and Chas v'Sholom, he fell down from the ladder and died. The question is, where is his length of days? But it must be L'olam shekula oroch. When the pasuk tells you you will be paid, rewarded with long life, it means in a time where there's long life. And it says you should have goodness, it means in a world that's totally good. And if the Gemara is talking about that it's after death, there's no arichas yom there, there's no time frame there. And that's a physical aspect time. Furthermore, he asks, how could Rabbi Yaakov learn from the pasuk that there's Tchias HaMesim? And he answers, maybe the Rambam will say that the pasuk is talking about L'olam Habo. L'olam shekulo tov is Olam Habo. L'olam shekulo oroch is Olam HaTchiyah, is after resurrection. So we have two types of lengths of days, and he pushes this thought aside, because the Rambam would seem to say he's talking about only one type of Olam Habo. The Mishnah Kesef explains that the question of the Lecha Mishnah doesn't begin to be, because in Sanhedrin it says on the Mishnah that somebody who denies Tchias HaMesim has no chelik in Olam Habo, has no portion in the world to come, is a punishment equivalent to the sin, because he denied Tchias HaMesim, therefore he will not merit Tchias HaMesim. And if that's the case, if according to the Rambam that Olam HaTchiyah and Olam Habo are two separate times, you cannot have here the Mido Keneged Mido. But it must be that according to the Rambam, one is dependent on the other. Somebody who doesn't have a Chelik Olam Habo, the world of souls, which is after Misa, therefore he doesn't merit either having Tchias HaMesim, because when he died, he uprooted himself B'Olam Hazeh, and therefore he has no portion in the world to come. And somebody who doesn't have life in the world to come, where after death, where the souls dwell until the time of resurrection, has no chelik l'olam habo. That's afterwards. So you see the tree of Osid, that one is dependent upon the other. That resurrection will only take place for those that have a portion of the world to come after they die. And Rabbi Yaakov, who says you have no mitzvah which doesn't cite its payment of Triyas HaMesim, it means since one is not rewarded in this world, as is what the Chazal have told us, only in the future, and they tzaddikim, the righteous, receive it in the world to come, or therefore only somebody who receives Olam Habo can merit Triyas HaMesim. So it would seem the Rambam explains the Peirush HaMeir in Sanhedrin Perek Yud. Those who deny Triyas HaMesim, they will never live again, and they are considered dead even when they live, because Chazal say that Rishonim, even while they're living in a temporal existence, in a physical existence before they die, are considered dead. Tzaddikim, even after they die, are called the living. The Migdal Oz cites the Ravid's opposition, and he explains that this was the great question that Rabbeinu Meir Halevi Mutolitula, and they come to ask before Rabban HaGadol HaKohen Milonu. And the Migdal Oz writes, the Ravid is of the opinion that Rambam had no understanding of Kabbalah, and therefore he disagreed with him. According to Kabbalah, there's a concepts here that are not mentioned that are not understandable. The Seder Mishnah cites the Kushas arrived and the teretz of the Kesef Mishnah, and he writes, the Kesef Mishnah's answer is truthful, it's very true, because if somebody looks in what it says, where the Rambam writes about Triyas HaMesim, and in what he mentions in the Mishnah, he'll see with clarity that the Ravid, without purpose, suspected the Rambam of not believing in Triyas HaMesim. And I don't understand the Ravid that he should so quickly go to argue, and he doesn't remember what he wrote in Perek Gimel Halacha Vov, that somebody who denies Triyas HaMesim has no chelik l'olam habo. So Rambam obviously believes in Triyas HaMesim. Now it could be that he didn't see the letter of the Peirush HaMishnah, but why didn't he see what he wrote before? And that the Rambam himself in Triyas HaMesim answers, in the Maimon Triyas HaMesim answers, and he justifies himself that when somebody denies Triyas HaMesim, resurrection, he has no portion of the world to come, is in opposition of those who misunderstood, and they thought that there's no physical Triyas HaMesim to the physical goof. However, Baal Seder Mishnah says the Rambam, the different words of the Rambam, Divrei Elikim Chaim, there's nothing that one should find fault with. Hasidim Yerchubo, the Hasidim, people who are believers, will go with them. He aim b'shivos of kosher, because what he writes has no fault to it. Now, we'll learn about how the Ramban, Nachmanides, learns eating in the world to come, very similar to Mon. You know that the Mon was, Chazal tell us, is something that the angels derive benefit from. It doesn't mean they sit and eat every lunch every day. The Ramban, Sha'ar Gmul, and in his Peirush on Torah, Shmois 16:6, writes with regard to the Mon. You should know that there is in the Mon a very great quality, as the Chachamim hinted at in Masechta Yuma 75b. Lechem abirim ochal ish. That food of, usually abirim means of great men, people ate. It's found in Tehillim, this Posuk 75, chapter 75, 25. But they translated Lechem Shemalachi Ashois Oichlem, do Rabbi Akiva. Akiva says, who are these great beings that eat mon? That's the Malachim. Omar Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel says, Malachi Ashois Oichlem Lechem, do the Malachi Ashois eat bread? When Moshe Rabbeinu was in Shemayim, it says he didn't eat bread nor drink water for 40 days. Lechem Abir means a lechem which is taken totally into the physical being. And the existence of the Malachi Ashois is from the illumination that comes forth from the Shechina, from the divine presence. And therefore, it refers that the Mon gave that existence to the physical being of the Jews in the Midbar. And so we find in Medrash Rabbah, Atamachayas Kulom, that from the spiritual existence that's found in everything, that's what keeps people, the food, the ability to be able to exist at all. And Keller says, that the light is sweet. Now, sweetness is something that has to do with food. It means that they will comprehend the taste of the food. According to Rabbi Akiva, Hamon is Mutel So'er HaElyon. It is part of the original light that became physical, and therefore that those people who eat mon, Malachi Ashoris, both, it's from the same source. In other words, Rabbi Shmuel asked Rabbi Akiva this question because the existence of the Malachim is not like the existence of Dor HaMidbar through mon, because the Malachim is from the existence of that spiritual illumination, and therefore, since the answer that the Mon has that same capabilities tells you that's why Mon had every taste that it could have, that you would want to have, because the Nefesh, the soul, and with its thought, will have an attachment to above, and he will find everything that he wants through this light. That's what Mon is. The Ramban brings the Divrei Mechilta. Hayom l'sitzu b'soda. It says in Shmois, you will not find the Mon, meaning Hayom, you will not find it, but in the future you'll always have it. And this can have two interpretations. That the people who live in the Olam Haba, so they do not get to the level of benefiting directly from Ziv HaShechina, so they will have to have something of a lower level, which will be something like the Mon, as we find that this happened by the Kriyas Yamsuf, that even though they were a lower level, a Shivcho, a maidservant on the Yam, saw what Yecheskel and Buzi didn't see. And from that moment on, their souls were uplifted to have Ziv HaShechina, which is the Mon. So you see, according to Ramban, in the world to come, there may be a need for Mon, like the Dor HaMidbar, for those people who didn't get to that level. But the Pasuk comes, it's more logical to state that the Pasuk is referring to what Rabbi Elazar ben Chitzma says, Hayoim, that the people who exist in the world to come, when the world is physical again, they will be existing with the source of Mon, which is derived from the direct rays of spiritual rays from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As it says, an Abba has no eating and no drinking. Tzaddikim sit and learn with their crowns on their head, and they benefit or they bask in the divine presence. And he continues, the people of the world to come will have existence from the Ziv Shechina, because from that which is on their head, which they created. That's what's found in the Pasuk. Hashem, Yi Hashem Tzvokes Ateres Tzvi. That Hashem will be that crown on my head. Therefore it says, Ba'ator Shit Himoy, the Pasuk we mentioned before in Shir Hashirim, and it means on the existence that will take place in Olam Haba and what Mon exemplifies. Thus, the Rambam brings the Pasuk Ba'ator Shit Himoy, as just like the Rambam brings it, to explain what Chazal tell us, That's what we say in Barosheim. And he adds, because we know the Rambam was a Makubal, this is a midah from an attribute of the attributes of Hashem, that he thus leads the world, and this is called Torah. And through that, we have existence even in this world, although we don't. We have to find it and seek it out in this world. We finish Peirush chapter 8, Halacha 2.